They told you their name 3 seconds ago. You shook their hand. You looked them in the eye, and the name was gone before they finished saying it. Now, you're in a conversation that's going perfectly well, except for one quietly terrifying problem. You have absolutely no idea what to call this person. You smile, you nod, you strategically avoid using any name at all. And underneath it, the same private thought every name forgetter has had: what is wrong with me? 3 things in this video. The exact neuroscience of why names, not faces, not stories, not facts, slip out of your brain in seconds. The hidden mechanism that has nothing to do with caring less. And the honest split between 2 completely different reasons people forget names that look identical from outside. First, the framework. In 1986, British memory researchers Gillian Cohen and Deborah Faulkner discovered something strange about how the brain stores names. They ran a study now known as the Baker/Baker paradox. They showed people a photograph of a man. To one group, they said, "This is Mr. Baker." To another, "This man is a baker by profession." Same word, same photograph, different framing. Days later, they tested recall. The group who learned he was a baker remembered far better than the group who learned his name was Baker. Because the word baker, the profession, is connected to 1,000 things: flour, ovens, bread smell, aprons. The word baker as a name is connected to absolutely nothing. Names are arbitrary labels. They don't link to anything else your brain already knows. So they slip through the net most other words get caught in. Memory expert Harry Lorraine called this an attention problem, not a memory problem. Cognitive psychologist Deborah Burke confirmed this in 1991. Her research found proper names have fewer semantic connections than almost any other type of word in the brain. They're neurologically isolated. Second, let's talk about the actual moment of introduction. Because something specific is happening there that almost guarantees the name won't make it in. Psychologists call it the next in line effect, first documented by Malcolm Brenner in 1973. When you're about to introduce yourself, your brain stops fully listening to the person speaking because your prefrontal cortex is overloaded. It's managing your posture, your eye contact, your handshake, and most of all, rehearsing what you're about to say next. Brenner's research found people have terrible recall for anything spoken in the 9 to 10 seconds before their own turn to speak. That window is exactly when most introductions land. You're not failing to remember the name, you're failing to encode it in the first place. The name reached your ears. It never made it past the front door of your memory. Hit subscribe if any of this is hitting closer than expected, because the next layer is the one most people never realize. Third, there's a fragile little system in your brain where names briefly live before disappearing. Cognitive scientist Alan Baddeley named it the phonological loop. It's a 2 to 3 second sound scratch pad in your working memory. The name they just said is sitting in it right now. If you don't rehearse it, your brain dumps it to make room for the next sentence. This is why hearing a name once and never repeating it almost guarantees you'll lose it. 2 seconds, that's all you had. And during those 2 seconds, your brain was busy planning your reply. Compare that to faces. Neuroscientist Nancy Canwisher discovered the brain has a dedicated region just for faces, the fusiform face area. It evolved over millions of years to recognize allies and enemies instantly. Faces have their own neighborhood. Names live in a hallway scratch pad that gets cleared every 3 seconds. The asymmetry isn't a bug. It's how the brain evolved to keep humans alive. Fourth, and here's the layer that's specifically about your brain, because not everyone forgets names equally. Stress researcher Sonia Lupian spent her career mapping what cortisol does to memory. Her findings are precise. Even mild social anxiety floods the hippocampus, the brain's memory formation center, with cortisol. Encoding capacity drops sharply at the exact moment you're trying to absorb someone's name, which means the kind of person who cares the most about meeting someone well is exactly the kind of person whose brain is least able to store their name. The caring is what causes the forgetting. If you replay awkward introductions, if you worry about how you're coming across, if you want to be remembered, your hippocampus is running on reduced capacity at the precise second the name arrives. And the people who don't care at all? Hippocampus calm, attention wide open, cortisol low. Names land easily. This is the cruel irony of name forgetting. The people who care most about getting names right are biologically the worst equipped to do it. Fifth, there's a personality pattern researchers keep finding. The same brain that forgets names is usually the brain processing the whole person, their tone, their energy, their micro-expressions, which is why you remember their face, their vibe, the exact phrase they used, the way they laughed, everything except the one piece of information your brain wasn't allocated bandwidth for. You're not bad at memory. You're allocating it differently. You stored 10 things about them. The world just happens to keep score on only one of them. Sixth, the gentle reframe. Because most people who chronically forget names carry quiet shame about it. You worry the other person thinks you don't care. You worry it makes you look self-absorbed. You worry it confirms something you've quietly worried about for years. It doesn't. Forgetting someone's name isn't a moral statement. It's a feature of how the human brain evolved, and specifically of how attentive, socially aware brains evolved. Seventh, and here's the honest split, because two completely different things look identical from outside. Same blank face, opposite mechanism. The first type is encoding failure. The name was never stored. Your brain was overloaded the moment they said it, and the word never made it past the front door. When someone reminds you of their name, your honest reaction is, I genuinely didn't know that. It never went in. The second type is retrieval failure. The name is stored somewhere. Your brain just can't pull it up. The data exists. The access path is temporarily blocked. When someone reminds you of their name, your honest reaction is, oh right, I knew that. I just couldn't get to it. That's what cognitive scientists call the tip of the tongue state. Same blank face. Completely different brain event. The test is simple. When reminded, do you recognize the name as familiar or genuinely new? Familiar is retrieval. New is encoding. Almost everyone watching this is the first type, which means the fix isn't trying to remember harder. It's giving the moment of introduction more attention than you've ever given it before. There's a line worth carrying with you after this video ends. Forgetting their name doesn't mean you didn't care. It usually means you cared so much your hippocampus couldn't get a word in edgewise. Before you go, here's one thing to try in the next 24 hours. Next time someone tells you their name, do one small thing. Repeat it back out loud, immediately. Nice to meet you, Sarah. That's it. Saying it forces your motor cortex to encode it as physical action, not just sound. The phonological loop survives an extra round. Watch how much longer it stays. Come back and tell me in the comments what you noticed. If you've spent years quietly worrying that forgetting names means you're rude, self-absorbed, or somehow broken, you're not. You're a normal brain running ancient survival software in a world full of business cards. You probably remember the most important things about people anyway. The way they made you feel, the thing they said that mattered. Their name was just the label the world stuck on top. Long after names disappear, the nervous system still remembers how someone made you feel. And maybe that says something about what the human brain truly considers unforgettable. If any of this hit subscribe and like. It genuinely helps the channel reach more people who need to hear it. Tell me in the comments, when reminded of a forgotten name, does it feel familiar or genuinely new? And maybe the strangest part of all is this. The brain rarely remembers what mattered least to survival, but it never forgets emotion.